sir. You look so hungry today. May I bless you with something to eat? Perhaps a burger from the McDonald's? Will you please take this $1? It's for your meal today. Bro, can you look into the camera? You're ruining my shot. Can you take the $1? Can you take the $1? Can you just look into the camera and take the $1? Just look into the camera and take the $1. Excuse me, sir. Dude, can you just take the freaking $1, bro? You're ruining my video. Excuse me, sir. Will you please take this $1? It's for your meal today. It's for your meal. Can you take the $1? Can you take the $1? Does anyone else see something wrong with this? Generosity is a noble act of giving, or as some people call it nowadays, content. Yes, friends, we live in an age where kindness isn't just its own reward. It's a high definition, well lit, algorithm optimized business model. Now, don't get me wrong, helping people is great, but when your act of kindness has a cinematic drone shot and 5 camera angles and a crying person conveniently framed in the rule of thirds, we gotta ask, is it generosity or is it just marketing with extra steps? Me personally, I think there's a fine line between scumbag content creators who do this type of content versus people who actually do it for their own pleasure. True generosity isn't about applause or subscribers or likes. It's about empathy. It's about doing the right thing when no one's watching, when there's no camera crew, no virtual moment, no dopamine hit from internet validation. It's about giving because you want to, not to make a homeless guy open his mouth for the thumbnail. Aristotle believed in something called eudaimonia, the idea that true happiness comes from living a virtuous life, and central to that is generosity. But not just any generosity. The ancient Greeks were all about character. It was about doing good just for the sake of good. Here's the thing, generosity should not be a performance. It's not a transaction where you give your kindness and expect something back. It should be an act of genuine care. So ask yourself this, if you need an audience to be generous, are you really generous? Now that we've talked about what should come before an act of kindness, let's talk about what comes after. For one, the ripple effect. Imagine dropping a single pebble into a pond. The ripple spread outwards, reaching farther than you might expect. Generosity works the same way. A single act of kindness, a shared meal, a helping hand, a moment of sincere encouragement can set off a chain reaction. The coffee you bought for a stranger, maybe it brightened their day enough to spark a smile on someone else, who then passed it to another. Generosity isn't just about giving, it's about setting something in motion. Number 2, the paradox of giving. It seems counterintuitive. You might be asking yourself, how can giving something away make me richer? Well, how about you sit down, David, and listen to what I'm about to say, because that's not the kind of richer I'm talking about. Science and experience tells us that generosity doesn't deplete, it multiplies. Generous people report higher happiness, better relationships, and even improved health. And health, my friends, is wealth. It turns out that generosity isn't just an act, it's an investment. Whether in time, resources, or kindness, the more we give, the more we seem to have. Number 3, the hidden forms of generosity. When we think of generosity, money often comes to mind, but generosity isn't always financial. Sometimes the most valuable thing you have to give is time. Listening to someone who needs to be heard, or patience, offering grace when frustration couldn't be easier. Or knowledge, mentoring someone who could benefit from what you've learned. Generosity can take many forms, and some of the most powerful ways to be generous cost no money at all. And number 4, the courage to give. Generosity isn't always easy. It takes courage to give without knowing if it will be reciprocated, to offer kindness in a world that can feel indifferent to you. But the beauty of generosity is that it doesn't have to start with a grand gesture. It starts small with a willingness to look beyond ourselves, and when we do, we find that generosity doesn't just change the lives of those who we help, it transforms us too. So this week, I have a challenge to everyone who made it this far into the video. I want all of you guys to do one act of kindness this week. No cameras, no posting, no nothing. Just one act of kindness. It could be to anyone, a random person you pass on the street, your family member, your friend, and it doesn't even have to require money. Give them a shred of your time. Give them a bit of knowledge. Give them whatever you have. Because at the end of the day, my friends, giving will always fulfill you more than receiving. That's all for this week, guys. And I still have a cold, so sorry for my sick voice this week. See ya.